I think it could change like the world drastically.
It is how you treat people. There's a lot that goes into success too.
Correct.
Like in your whole life,
Yeah.
it's, your friends, family, things like that.
Maybe we're having a hard conversation, but like I wasn't expecting that.
The more you talk to them, and learn what they are individually, it was easy to connect. I almost wanted to get up and walk out of the room. It's like, that's what I do.
Do you find like that easy to like be like, I am appreciative about life? I'm Aaron, and I'm here with Richard, and we're going to be talking about the latest message from our series Book Club. We're talking about Please, Sorry, and Thanks by Mark Batterson. And I'm just excited to discuss with you a little bit about this topic and just see your perspective on it. So
it'll be good.
Yeah, but give us a little info about yourself. Like, tell us who you are and maybe your family and all of that.
All right. Well, I'm Richard Wiese. Been married to Nicole for 27 years, just under. 27 years.
That one wrong.
Yeah, no, I have it done.
I didn't ask the question.
Yep, right. Yeah, that wasn't on the list. I have two young gentlemen. Bray is 21. Cal is 18. He's graduating this spring from Fondy. We love to go boating, fishing, biking, outdoor stuff. Love sports. Like that, so.
And we talked about coaching. You're into coaching, and then for work.
Oh, I work at Oshkosh Corp.
Okay.
In Oshkosh. I've coached a lot of sports for.
You said like every level. Yeah.
Pretty much, every level from youth to at the Y to high school.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you about this topic, and it's specifically kind of like manners per se, because you get to see a lot of teens and kids in the development stage and like whether or not they're using manners or not. Like on Sunday I shared like how like manners people think are down per se right now or compared to 20-30 years ago. So we're going to dive into that in a little bit, but I thought we'd start like, do you have any like, were there any like weird manners that were expected of you growing up that
I think the one that, and I still think it's weird, was not wearing a hat at the table.
Okay. Yeah.
Just a baseball hat.
Were you a hat person? Like,
yeah, I wore hats and in sports like, it's baseball, but you cannot wear a hat when you come to the table.
Hat, no food.
Right. Like shirt. Yeah, shirt.
That was what I said,
yeah.
No shirt, no food, Aaron. Yeah.
But I ate other places with a hat on and never seemed to wreck my digestion.
Maybe they were just like offended. They just didn't say anything.
I wasn't a fedora or anything. It was,
no,
whatever.
That is an interesting one. I haven't heard that one specifically.
Can wear hats.
Can you now?
Yeah.
I didn't know if like Nicole lays the law down or something like that.
No, there's no rule there. there are laws within that.
How about like ones that you maybe have put on your kids these days? Are there any that like, because you have two boys, like was there a manner that like was important to you or your wife, like raising them?
To me, it was the sharing of food.
Okay.
Like, people grabbing stuff off of your plate, and no.
You're no to
yes, that. No. To me, that's a manner.
Yeah.
If you want something, you either ask for it or order it.
Oh, so it's just you're not grabbing it.
Yes, yeah. But they will, like, boys and Nicole will be like, it's just not right.
It's your food.
Yes.
I like it. Yeah, mine weird one was the no shirt, no food. For our girls right now, like for our kids, like we really are intentional about praying before dinner. So it's like, stop eating, just put your fork down, or whatever. It's like, and we have very little kids right now. So, a 4-year-old and a almost 2-year-old. So it's like the 2-year-old doesn't get it, but she knows she's got to put her fork down or otherwise we're all staring at her or you're like kind of like we're waiting, so it's an important thing for us. But that's kind of like our only weird manner per se for our kids right now. So I mentioned like that as a society, like that survey I quoted, people think that manners have gone down in the world. Would you agree with that? Like, or do you see like manners, operating at a high level still these days? What would you say? Like, are they better or worse than 20-30 years ago?
They're worse. I think they're a lot worse.
Why do you think that? Like,
just how people interact with like wait staff or things like in line. If you're in line with people, it just seems, excuse me, thank you,
Yeah.
letting people in and out of line, things like that. It doesn't seem to happen. Holding the door for somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is a manner. It doesn't happen. I mean, it's
Yeah.
their time,
Yeah. And I think you're right. Like, so what I hear you're saying is like through observation, you're seeing like that there's just less manners. Like, and I would agree. It feels like there's less like etiquette almost of like caring for another person and, you know, in stores or restaurants or wherever, and I think you kind of hit on it. It's like I think we're so singular minded. A lot of times it's like, I'm the one paying for the meal, or I'm the one that's going to the store right now, or I'm the one that's like looking for a parking spot, not you, even though we're all roaming around in the parking lot or whatever it is, but like,
Yeah,
but I think we become so singular minded that at times, we forget to treat people well.
I agree.
Yeah. Um, so one of the things too we talked about on Sunday was like how the things that rated high for United States was like hard work, intellect, independence, being creative. Those are things that like the survey saw that people of the United States say are extremely important, where manners for their children was maybe a little less important per se. Um, as you think of all of that, like, what do you think determines a person's success? Do you think manners go into that? Do you think it is just hard work? It is just intellect? It is just independence? Like, what determines a person's success?
I think part of it is you have to control the controllables. There are things in your life that you can control, and
Yeah.
you can, pick your path that way. That's a big part, but it is how you treat people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to move up in your current job or
Yeah.
whatever it is, if you're not nice, you're not polite,
Yeah.
why would they promote you, or why would they look at giving you any other options other than what you have? And
Yeah.
so it's a huge part.
Yeah. And I think like that's where I would agree, like with work specifically. So like, and I guess we're kind of applying success per se of like growing in your workplace, or achieving that next level of maybe it's athleticism or whatever it is. But like, if you're a person who is likable almost, like it shows you're caring towards others, um people want to work around someone like that. People want to train with someone like that. People are willing to give a little bit more of their time to someone like that. And I think like that does go into your success, the support of others. And when you're a appropriate or polite person, I think people are more apt to wanting to help that. But the correlation doesn't seem to happen, right?
No.
It's like it's just like we're not putting manners at a high level, but then we're also like wanting the success still, and it's just a weird dichotomy almost.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot that goes into success too.
Correct.
Like in your whole life.
Yeah.
It's, your friends, family, things like that. And if you don't have good manners and you're not treating people the way you want to be treated, it's hard. Your circle gets smaller, and
yeah, that's a good point.
you don't have those outlets.
Yeah. I want to be around people that have good manners. I'm guessing.
Yes.
I mean, so it's like you would close off that circle a little bit if someone is, not to say that you're like, oh, they're always belching or whatever it is, but like if they're a polite person, you tend to want to be around them. If they're not a polite person and they're demanding or whatever it is, whether it's you or a server, or it's like that's not who I want to be around. That's not who I want to be associated with. So I think you're right. Like, you're around people that are all pursuing kind of this circle, of people. And I think that's important to make sure that you surround yourself with people that have good manners too. Mm-hmm. All right. Shifting gears a little bit. So Proverbs 18:21, it said, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So before we really dive into like the three magic words, right? Please, sorry, and thanks. We talked about words and words having power. And scripture specifically says the power of life and death. Like, do you believe words have like that much power?
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I've done it. I mean, where you say something that's hurtful.
Yeah.
And even in cases where you don't mean it that way,
Yeah.
but it comes off that way,
Yeah.
it can impact a person, one way or the other.
Yeah.
And
Can you think of like a time like was it like with family or friends or like coaching or whatever where it's like you saw your words directly impact negatively or positively like in that way or
yeah, just family, things I say to the boys,
yeah
raising them, if you're strict at a certain point, and if you got upset with something and you said it,
yeah
a lot of times they would go to Nicole about it, but it would really upset them that I would say something like that
yeah
maybe it and it wasn't intended that way, but maybe it made them feel dumb, or things like that. And you don't think that when you're saying it.
yeah
It opens your eyes a little bit.
yeah I think I agree like words do have like immense power um and I think we have all have misused words, right? Like we've all have had the power to bring per se death to someone, as in like hurt or like sadness or frustration, and like I think a big part to like really combating that is like the emotional intelligence concept of like being able to observe that person and like see like what you said really hurt, like because I think it's easy to go like to have it be completely missed. Like you say something and you're like, why are like just move on from it, right? But like you when you can see the person and put yourself in their situation and assess what's going on, you're like, oh man, I didn't mean to hurt you that way, like we maybe were having a hard conversation, but like I wasn't expecting that, and it
Right.
changes the dynamic of like being really reflective, I think, of your words. Like I've seen it with my littlest girls, even to my wife, to even like when I'm conversing about a tough thing with someone at church or whatever, where it's like, oh, you definitely didn't like that comment. Like I could see that, but I didn't mean to hurt you through that. I'm meant to have we're having a harder conversation, And so like that's knowing that I think is really important. Otherwise, like you'll just keep using your words, wielding them in, this kind of strong negative way per se, and
You're going to push
break that.
people away from you.
Correct.
And I've seen it the other way too, in coaching and with the boys too, but coaching, especially in like football, when you're dealing with 30 some
Yeah.
kids on a team, you have to know each kid. You can't
Yeah.
treat them all the same. So you have to, be able to figure out kind of what gets them going, motivated, things like that. And when you get a group of, I coach football, I'll say a group of young men playing football, and you get them motivated in one direction, it's amazing what.
Yeah. So how like we're going a little on a tangent here, but like how would you like so of 30 people 30 guys or whatever, like how did you get to know like I know that drives this person, or I know this is what's gonna motivate him? Like is it just observing or
Part of it, I can't remember even what coach it was. I used to go to a lot of coaching clinics, and the one thing he said is always get to know your players. So every day, go talk to each player. Even if it's a minute.
Yeah.
Go talk to each individual and just see what their interests are. And
Yeah.
You may not know. Like my son loves band.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that if he's just playing football. You're coaching football, but the more you talk to him, and learn what they are individually, it was easy to connect.
Okay.
And then you always had that connection, and kind of had an easier way to read, what motivated them. So I always made a point of trying to get to know every one of them.
Having a short conversation with each person. Yeah, I love it. All right, shifting gears a little bit, but like still on the concept of words. Like, are you good at sarcasm? Like, is that something?
Yes, yeah. Our house is. We're pretty good at it.
I feel like you and Nicole have like could have like a little spitball of sarcasm back and forth.
Oh yeah. We feed off of each other that way. It's pretty good.
Fun.
Yeah. Cal is right up there with us. Bray is good.
I'm out.
Yeah, he usually is. He's like, roll the eyes and But when I first started coaching, I had to go to a class at the Tech, and it was like the third class in, and the instructor said, there's no room in coaching for sarcasm in
Yeah.
coaching. I almost wanted to get up and walk out of the room. It's like that's
Yeah.
what I do. But
Have you seen the pros and cons to like, or like where sarcasm maybe help bridge a gap a bit, but then also maybe a con where it's hurt people or like,
yeah, I like in coaching, you really have to make sure you're not making it about
yeah,
an individual.
yeah,
If it's just a joke about the team, or you make a sarcastic remark about something that happened in practice, whatever,
yeah,
that usually is like a tension breaker, things like that.
yeah,
So everybody think it's funny, maybe not, but it's not attacking.
yeah,
I think where it gets more is like around your family and friends, where you have a connection
yeah,
more, in you can say something sarcastic that you would cross the line and
yeah,
not think you were, but
yeah.
so,
I again, I shared on Sunday like I think I'm good at sarcasm, but it's not something I like using per se. So a couple of things I've learned about it too is like the person that you're using sarcasm with, I to have it be effective and not hurtful, they need to know that you use sarcasm, or like that you're kind of a generally sarcastic person.
yes.
Because like they don't take it as personal, and you really have to know the person, right? You really have to know like the person that maybe you're talking to, or like, because I don't think like a lot of people expect a pastor to be sarcastic, so like that's like a struggle I have because like I've just noticed like, wait, you're being serious, and I'll be like, ooh, I got like that's not my intention at all. So like really reading the audience, the people you're with, to make sure that sarcasm isn't like going over people's heads per se, of like realizing that it is sarcasm, and then also that it's not hurtful, putting
Right.
someone else down, and I I'm good at that, but I don't like that about me, and so that's something I have to make sure I have balanced out. So. All right, the three things that we looked at on Sunday. So the psychology of please, the science of sorry, and then the theology of thanks. So the three words: please, sorry, and thanks. Which one would you say you're the best at? Which one would you say you're the worst at? Would your wife agree?
I think the best one probably would be thanks. I am appreciative when people help
Awesome.
me, or go out of their way to help me or do something.
Yeah.
The sorry one is
Yeah.
definitely one that Nicole actually told me that in church when he said,
You're bad at this one.
yes, probably a negative. But in our house we have my kids call me father,
Yeah.
and they have the father apology.
Oh.
So those are my apologies. They joke about that. So
Oh.
it's not the best.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna talk about each of them just briefly. So talking about please a little bit, like, do you think please is a posture of humility? So we talked a little bit about like how Jesus modeled humility well. And so like knowing that it models Jesus, like having humility, maybe showing please more often. Would you do it more in your life daily, knowing that like that is like a sign of humility, even when you don't have to say please, like would you happen to drop that word into the mix more often?
Yeah, it is a sign of humility. I think where I can say me, where I kind of lose that is like with the things that are expected.
Yeah.
Like the boys putting their clothes away or things like that. You
Yeah.
tell them, go put your clothes away instead of the please. I think that's where, personally I fall short.
Yeah.
In that, I think more so outside of family, close knit family, than I do use please, and
Yeah.
a lot more.
Yeah.
But
that is my dilemma too, that I'm in, is outside of what is not expected. I always say please, or I'm more like, but like really have a hard tension with work, like where someone is working to do the task you're telling them to do, is like a struggle of mine, or like, or even, and the other one is just like, even like in our household where it's like, we're both contributing to trying to make our house amazing, or, the household, like the food or whatever. And we all have to do our part, and I tend to be the one that just like thinks of all the things that need to be done. Like that's just me. That's more of my personality. Not to say I'm in charge of Sydney or anything like that, but like I just tend to be the one thinking like we got to get groceries, we got to do this. And it's so easy for me to bark orders, but I like the thing I talked about on Sunday. It's like the please shows respect, and it doesn't really change, even though it just hurts me inside. Like to want, like I don't want to say it, but it shows respect, and it's ultimately the person has the same likelihood and choice to do it or not, whether I say please or not. You know what I mean? It's so like, but it's just like this. It's a pride thing, I think, for me. Like I really struggle with like I don't want to say please to do this or like ask. I want to just tell you get this done. Like that's the expectation. So seeing Jesus model that is one that's this constant reminder of like you better start saying please more often here. I don't know if you can relate to that or not, but like it's just it's a struggle for me. But
it is. It's evident in at the home. I mean, it really is. That's where you do. You're more demanding. You're telling them what to do than kind of the please concept. So
yeah. All right, shifting on from police. I'm already frustrated by now. So let's talk about sorry. You said you're not awesome at it, but we won't go there right now. But how about like, have you experienced the power of sorry before? Like, can you think of a time like how you're like, wow, that was meaningful?
Yeah, throughout my life, obviously I'm 50. There's been a lot of, but I can't necessarily say that there's been a game changer. You know what I mean? Where it really hit home that way. But I would say more so. I don't know if Nicole would say my sorries were sincere, but more where I was sorry for things that I did.
Okay.
That happened to hit home more
for you.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm really apologizing for this.
Right.
Like, and I hope this is like, for like you mentioned, like it's not one that you're skilled at, or that is one. So like when it comes out, I'm guessing it means more, and it really comes to be a true, honest reflection of how you feel. Awesome. I shared like this quote that said like the love of God is not reactive, it's proactive. That was Mark Batterson, the author of that book. How do we make sure that we are proactive with our sorries, but then also even like forgiveness too, like, because if that's the love of God, that's the model we have. It's like someone who is proactive, as in saying sorry or forgiving. How do we start doing that personally?
I think you have to start thinking about the individual that you have hurt or whatever the situation is. Put yourself in their shoes. I don't think we do that often. I can personally say for myself, I don't think that way a lot. The situation happens, whether it's an argument or whatever, I'm really set in my mind of what I think is right or wrong or whatever. But I think if we are more aware of, how the other person is thinking, I can get in with Nicole. She can be right. I can be right. But I'm not going to say I'm sorry. It's that I'm kind of bullheaded that way.
Yeah. So thinking of like how that person's feeling as they're processing.
Right. If we did that more, that would
more likely to be like, we got to bridge this. Because, I love it. All right. Shifting gears a little bit. Now let's go to gratitude. You said you are a person of gratitude. You tend to be very thankful. Let's just talk about life for a second. Like, what do you appreciate the most about life these days? Like,
health,
yeah,
family. I really appreciate family.
Do you find like that easy to like be like, I am appreciative about life, or is that like a struggle sometimes? Like,
no, that comes easy.
Okay,
to me it does. I know there are people out there that have it a heck of a lot worse than me. Type of, I kind of think about that a lot. I have family and friends that are going through health issues, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just being healthy, having close family, having that, I am grateful every day for that.
Yeah, like, I hate saying it like this, but like when you see some of the stuff people have to go through, it's like it makes you appreciate what you have. How blessed you've been as a person, like it's like there's so much you can start seeing as blessings, and like the thing I kind of referred to. It's like if God's the one that's given us life, we have we're like entitled to nothing, you know. And so it's like what we have, like this opportunity to talk right now, or you know, it's like it's a gift, and seeing life as a gift changes everything. It's you generally tend to be a happier person when
Oh yeah.
you see it as a gift versus not, you know. Um, how do you be a more thankful person? Like, what comes to mind? Like, because you said you're good at it. Like, what do you do to make sure that, like, all right, I am a more thankful person, like, out and about in the community with others? Is it just like appreciating life? Is it,
I think so. I'm typically a happy person. I'm usually in a
okay?
good mood, joke around, stuff like that. So I mean, to me, I don't have a lot of stress. I
Yeah,
just drives me cold crazy. But so I tend to be grateful for things, small things, things
yeah,
like that, and you know, you, when people help or do
yeah,
whatever, I'm thankful.
yeah.
May not show it sometimes.
Do you need a lot of things, or are you a pretty like simple man?
Pretty simple. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty
So
pretty
like
simple.
extras, like yeah, cool.
Yeah,
It's easy to, but like I could be fine with
a lawn chair.
deodorant.
Yeah.
Lawn chair.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I don't need a lot of things. It's pretty
yeah,
simplistic.
and that like that's like one thing like I as I've aged I need more things, you know, like and so it's like oh, I don't have this, you know, and it's easy to like ruin my gratitude because I have my list of all the things I need to function now, you know. I need my phone, I need my wallet, I need my I need this hair stuff, I need, you know, whatever, my glasses, and to be able to be like oh I have what I need, I have a glass of water, or you know, like a lawn chair, you know,
Yeah.
like you said, you know, like and so it's like starting to be appreciative of like even the most simplest things, and then when the extras in it's like yay.
Mhm.
All right, so we talked about all three briefly. Do you think like the world would actually be a better place if people started using these three more often? Like why or why not? Like
Absolutely. And
okay,
it would have to, right? I mean, if people treated each other, how you want to be treated, you were polite,
yeah,
respectful. Um, I just it would have to. It would
yeah,
have to be the mood would change.
hmm. Hmm.
Instead it wouldn't be, you know, attacking or,
Yeah,
people seem, in a bad mood, things like that. I just,
yeah. Imagine like trying to imagine that, but like the mood, like you said, the mood would change of like being in a spot where like people are already thinking about forgiveness or sorry. You know, like
mhm.
oh, that'd be powerful.
Well, just think about when you're leaving an event, a
Yeah,
large event, and if you're doing your every other, you're pulling out,
yeah,
your mood is fine.
yeah,
But then when you don't get that, people are cutting you off. Just like the
yeah,
mood you get into. I
yeah,
mean, now just put that out into life in different situations, and
yeah, yeah. So how do we start encouraging it? Like well, this will kind of be our last question, but like how do we start encouraging others to use like these words more? Because if it really does change things, it's so simple ish, you know, right? But like, the three words. How do we make it happen?
by continuing doing it yourself,
Mm,
being a model that way, teaching your kids, teaching others.
yeah,
If you being a pastor, that helps.
yeah,
If you have me coaching, that kind of
yeah,
rolls into sportsmanship, things like that.
yeah,
If you do it and that's the way you are showing people how what your expectations are,
yeah,
and they believe in it and follow through, then maybe they start
yeah.
branching it out too. And I think that's you're trying.
Yeah, so the modeling is what I'm hearing you say,
Hmm.
like modeling it personally. And I think even like I don't know, I want a coach that's gonna model that for my kids versus a coach that's not. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And so it's like finding even people who are instilling that into your family's life, your you know, your community, and almost like lifting those people up on your shoulders because it's like, yeah, they're exemplifying these
Hmm.
characteristics, you know. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it could change like the world drastically, but it's and it starts with us. So I guess we got to do it more often. But I just I think the stats are right. Like I think it really would change the world, but like they are going down, and we're just not seeing it happen. So I don't know. Maybe it's me and you. We just get started.
We can shoulder the load.
Yes.
So,
Well, thanks for chatting with me.
yeah, no problem.
It
Thanks
was
for
good chatting about please, sorry, and
Yeah.
thanks. Hopefully we're better at it next time we see each other.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks.
Yep. Thanks for having me.